We'll try and go for a couple of hornpipes and some traditional jigs. The first hornpipe is a tune called Rathbun Market by Ian Duncan. The second is Jack Adrift, again by Pink Jerome McLeod. Into three jigs. The first one is piobaireachd, the second the Kitchen Maid, and finishing off with John Patterson's Mare. Cool. How are we doing for time?
Alright, 20 past 8.
Cool. Shall I have one more? One more set?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. I was a bit ambitious with the sets here, I think. So. There we go. Right, smashing. So we're going to finish up with another piece of pibroch. The piece being Fuair me pog, I got a kiss of the king's hand, but with a wee bit of a twist. So I'm going to start with which you refer to the Keel Shin, the pibroch song as such, a beautiful melody, which is potentially where it's maybe originally came from, who knows. There's also the story about the tune being attributed to, let me get my McCrimmon's right, attributed to Patrick More McCrimmon, who when King Charles II was inspecting his army, he walked past a group of 80 pipers. None of them had headdress on, apart from Patrick More standing there with his bonnet on, and he questions, why is this man wearing a bonnet? And he says, oh, that's, you may be king, but this man is Prince of Pipers. So he called him forward and gave him the honour of kissing his hand, because that was a thing back in the day. So that's one story. The other story is that he was playing for the king, and he thought he was playing tremendously well, and offered up his hand for a kiss. But Fuair me pog. So I'll play a little bit of the pibroch song to start. I'll segue into a bit of the pibroch, and then we'll return back to the Fuair me pog. Beautiful melodies. Here we go.
as I say, it's a game of two halves, and our second half will be probably in about half an hour or so. Give Ben a chance to get his breath back and relax for a few minutes. Those who haven't paid to come in, there's still, some may have turned up a little bit late. If you just come and see one of us here to pay, and there's still raffle tickets. If you want to buy more raffle tickets, we've got fantastic prizes, including the pipe carrier from R.G. Hardy, lots of memorabilia, little bit of things from R.G. Hardy as well, but also a McCallum Kintyre practice chanter and a pipe bag from Neil Wilson, who's one of our members here. So and lots of other donated raffle prizes as well. Please make your way to the bar. We'll probably have about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll do the raffle and try and be as quick as we can. I know it drags on a little bit, but thank you very much, Ben, and once again, thank you for a fantastic night.